Welcome back, friends. It's another episode of the Mindful CEO. What's up, Aaron?
What's up?
Good to see you. Great topic
Good
today
to hear
on
you.
good to hear your voice.
Yeah. Wow, there's a
uh,
lead in.
yeah, right. There,
I
there
got my
is a thing
Rudy
about
Giuliani. I got my Rudy Giuliani shot and fried mug.
nice. I didn't bring anything for show and tell.
Mm.
Uh, we're talking about finding your voice today and elements of voice. And I think sometimes as a CEO, right, the CEO of your life, the CEO of your business, there is a mindfulness to bring to what you want to say. Are you mindful of what you want to say in your work to the world? And I don't know, that could be a little bit of a setup here for where we want to go, but we were just having a great conversation
Yeah,
about
I think I came about that backwards, the other way.
yeah,
But I was struck by um, I started rolling out lose your goddamn mind. I sort of test through a pebble in the
yep.
pond. Would anyone be interested if I created something called lose your goddamn mind?
As
A
a 10-week
a 10
mindfulness.
week,
Yeah,
journey.
yeah.
And better response for that than anything that I've put out in any of the work that we've been doing together in terms of getting this community off the ground. And
Yep.
clearly, I think that's connected to this community. But it was a great response. And I was, I was reading some of the copy and reading some of the other stuff and left with, um, oh, and then I was listening to Soul Boom. I was listening to Rainn Wilson's book, Soul Boom,
Yeah.
and adore him. I adore his work. Not just Dwight, but like,
Right, right. Yeah.
although Dwight.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't believe what a foundational show that is on our family. I mean, it
Yeah.
is.
The Office Foundation.
It's just it's found. I just tangent for a second
Yeah.
because it is as foundational for my family as Blazing Saddles was and Young Frankenstein was for my
Uh-huh.
birth family. Like
Yeah.
the family I grew up in. Blazing Saddles, Woody Allen, Monty Python, Mel Brooks, and Woody Allen were the holy trinity of what
Uh-huh.
I grew up in.
Wow.
And now The Office is for my kids,
Yeah.
and Monty Python
Amazing.
is for my kids. That it's literally always on in the background when I'm cooking, and if we have to sit and find a show that we'll all watch,
Uh-huh. That's great.
The Office goes on because it's a banger every episode, every time, never gets old. It's fucking
Never
brilliant.
gets old.
Everything about it never gets old. It's stunning. I think it's stunning. At any rate, so
Yeah.
I'm listening to Rainn Wilson's book Soul Boom, which is in, and it's bringing up all sorts of stuff for me
Mm.
because I don't. We've been talking about eras and things like that, and they're back in the early days of the internet. Really, I'm so fucking old. I can remember buying a course on how to get a blog going and how to get traffic, and this is really like very much where I started with Seth Godin, and this has to be, I don't know, how long has the internet been around, really? 30 years?
I mean,
1990s?
early, 90s. I was logging in through AOL
It
and
is so not okay that that's 30 years ago. You just, everyone should know it's not okay. Um, no pass. Anyway, so and I had started a website. Yeah, it's mid 90s because I started a website, and the thought behind it was really not dissimilar to the theme of Soul Boom, and just it really was it came out of my what the fuck would Jesus do?
hmm.
That
Uh-huh.
orientation towards life, WTF, WJD.
Uh-huh.
Dot org was the website, WTF, WJD, and it was meant to be a sort of an irreverent look at spirituality as
Mhm.
spirituality divorced from religion, just
Mhm.
spirituality is spirituality. So certainly not the same conversation Soul Boom is bringing up, but it certainly called that forth in my
Yeah.
experience of listening to him read the book, and was like, wow, I've been interested in this for a long time. This isn't,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
that's got
Mm-hmm.
this, what we're doing now is
Mm.
clearly rooted in that.
Yeah. Love that.
You
Yeah.
can't talk about law of attraction and source and
Yeah.
mindfulness and well, I guess you
Uh-huh.
can talk about it without it, but we don't, um, without connecting to
Yeah.
some direction of spirit. Certainly this whole debate that we've been having, like you and I, like me and the multiple personalities in my head have been having about appreciation or gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
which is a higher vibration, that whole thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
gratitude is distinctly, in my view, what I've discovered, gratitude is distinctly connected to a relationship with the divine,
Mm. Mm.
where appreciation doesn't need to be. Wow, that's the first time I ever said that out loud, but I think
Yeah.
that's right.
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Um,
Hmm.
you can appreciate something and have no connection to, and it doesn't necessarily bring up a creator, uh, a relationship to the divine. Where I think if that's going to morph into gratitude, if you're going to stand in gratitude,
Mm.
you're very often going to be left with the kind of humility of I am a
Mm.
speck in a, you were a cell that was
Yeah.
divided and divided and
Yeah.
divided, and there's a mystery to life and there's a spiritual nature to it. It's a very easy
I like that.
road to tumble down. That gratitude is in that realm of the spiritual, and appreciation is more is more accessible in the mundane. um I think that's a big piece of that debate just got sorted out,
Mm.
um for me
Mm.
anyway. Oh, voice. Rainn Wilson, voice. It wasn't so much what he was talking about. Let's go back from the tangent back here. Hi. I feel like
Hi.
we're
Hello.
swerving
Hi.
back
Hello.
into the road, right? Like,
That was well
like a
done.
chase. Yeah,
Well
right. Like
done,
the
man.
chase scene. It's like,
I
whoa.
appreciate the dedication you gave to that tangent because it was great and you worked something out and I got something out
I
of it.
did work something out in that tangent.
Way to
That was
follow it.
yeah, that was
Way
good.
to follow it.
That's
Yeah.
there's a little John Mayer,
Good
you
cottywample.
know,
Good mumble your way.
cottywomple, or uh the John
Mumble.
Mayer thing? Which is mumble. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
mumble.
mumble.
Um, Oh, anyway, voice. The
Yep.
thing I was most struck with in Soul Boom, or have been not done with it, but things so far that I'm most impacted by is his voice.
Mm. Mm.
And this is written by him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he not only has no apologies for the voice, he's not working on saying it the way it should be said, or
Mm-hmm.
he's not copying anyone. He's not
Yeah.
modifying it in some way.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, yes, he's physically reading and it's literally his voice, but that's not really what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. Right.
his voice is, it's his voice and it resonates in that way. And,
Yeah.
when I go back and I read a lot of the blog posts and the things that I've written and books that I've written,
Mm.
um, it's only a few times where oh, it can make me cry, where I really hear my voice.
Mm. Mm.
And um, mostly it's just couched in how I think I'm supposed to say it.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's just sad
Mm.
because that's not certainly the huge advantage of this show for me, of this podcast, is there is no fucking way to say this because we don't know what we're going to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
pure mumble. And books and blog posts now. I think that's why I like the blog post format, because it's quicker and it's
Mm.
I don't think about it as much. Anyway, um, I was left with Lose Your Goddamn Mind as a mindfulness journey
Mm-hmm.
is um my voice.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny too, because I had said lose my goddamn mind. And then I thought, okay, that's too good of a title for something to do nothing with. I
Yeah.
should do something with it.
Uh,
And
hmm.
and then I was okay. So that's the preamble. How's that for a fucking preamble to an episode? Here's the thing I really wanted to work out in this episode. Um, was I was in training this weekend leading uh what the program I lead with Landmark. And I really was sort of knocked back by, or knocked up inside the head in uh by how much I put my personality
Hmm.
into what I'm saying. Like, it's overly dramatic. It clouds
Hmm. Hmm.
the communication. It gets in the way of the communication. It
Hmm.
displaces the communication in a lot
Hmm.
of ways.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so there's a distinction to be made between
Hmm.
what we're calling my voice, or one's voice,
Yeah.
discovering one's voice, and getting your personality all over something.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think there's getting in the
Yeah.
way, where it gets in the way, where it's no longer the message,
Sure.
it's in the way. And it's displacing the message. I think part of it, now that I'm talking it through, part of it is the work that I'm delivering there isn't my work.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not technically, I mean, I deliver it. My job is to deliver it as the author and to be able to, at so much of the source of it that I can.
Yeah.
But my personality is not required.
Yeah.
Not only is it not required, it's detrimental.
That's very context specific. Like the Landmark Forum is very much a blank canvas, create a blank canvas with enough distinction so people can come in and get what they want to get. It's different than how I would call leading a conversation. Like that there is a,
Well, I don't know that it could be about the forum and the content, but I think it's more about, it's not my stuff.
yeah, I like that.
Like,
Yeah, I like that.
because I mean, it's just to be responsible for it. If I were to read Shakespeare, or I were to read a play of any script,
Yeah.
my job would be not to get me in there.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I like that.
My job would be to deliver the author's intention in a way that I sounded as if it was
Yeah.
my
Mm.
intention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And be so much at the source of it that,
Yeah.
I mean, when
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis, performs, when Michael Caine performs, when Meryl Streep
Mhm.
performs,
Mhm.
you're not left with how
Meryl Streep.
great they are. And yet you are clear how great they are. I mean,
Hmm.
they disappear into the character, and you're left in the world that the author intended you to be left in.
Right.
But their job was to get out of the way.
Yeah. Right. Right. Compared to Soul Boom, and you can hear Rainn Wilson narrating his own
Yeah.
book, and you're like, this is Rainn. This is not a character in another. This is actually Rainn speaking to me from where Rainn has lived and experienced and codified and thought about. And
Yeah, that's his work. It'd be
yeah.
weird if he read it as one of the characters in
Right.
that, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Dwight's the most famous, but any of the characters that he's played, it'd be odd. It would be odd, odd, odd. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's, there's, and when I used to play an instrument, I can remember having the experience, because I really started learning just because I loved listening to music so much. And I was like, okay, I got to know how they do this. And
Mm.
you can't play a solo unless you have something to say.
Mm.
And because a solo is inherently your voice. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's, you're making it up. It's like Soul Boom in this case. It's
Yeah.
like, these are his words. This is what he's making up. This is what
Yeah.
this is his riff. Now it's his composition.
Yeah.
And unless you have something to say, you don't have anything to compose. You just don't. you need a mastery of the instrument to be able to
Yeah.
get what you want to say out in the way you want to
Yeah.
say it through that instrument, which
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I never,
I
it's too much
remember
work.
Randy Jackson from American Idol. He'd be like, "Yo, dog, you can sing you could sing the phone book. You could sing the phone book, dog." Like, but he's like, but what do you but what are you feeling? He's like, "You can sing anything. You have the pipes. You can sing whatever you want to sing, but I'm not getting what you want to say. Like, I'm not getting there's no translating of like me feeling something over here. Your voice is dialed, dog, but I'm not feeling you." And there's this thing about like, if I read your blog post, Aaron, I think you have brilliant things to say in your blog post. And then there's that added piece that's like, you could write the phone book. You could write anything and it would sound good. But there's another piece of Aaron that like when you said, lose your goddamn mind, I'm like, yeah, that's Aaron.
Right.
I'm like, that's compelling. Like, I like that mofo is, like edgy as fuck. I like it when Aaron gets out on the edges.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, and you can, everyone that we admire has this communication. That shit resonates. And when it's not that way, it doesn't.
Mm.
I mean, it's either,
Yeah.
the mirror neurons
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
when someone is being authentic and when they're not, which is, just to go back to leading the work I do with Landmark, is you can't fake that shit.
Yeah.
And the mirror neuron, people that are masters are so at of anything,
Yeah.
are so at the source of what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
that they the
Mm.
mirror neurons and the people watching need to be triggered
Yeah. Yeah.
to get this is a real communication, which is,
Mm.
wow. I mean,
Mm.
what really want to get crazy about it. I mean,
Mm. Wow.
you watch someone like Donald Trump go off, and I mean, that's just a whole other case study of like, okay, who's watching that and not having their con man
Uh-huh.
neurons fire,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But there are people, but the same this goes back to, he hasn't talked about this in Soul Boom yet, so I don't really know that it's coming, but you know, um, televangelists, you know, those trigger
Mm.
for people uh, a relationship to the speaker,
Mm.
that their voice resonates as
Mm.
that person's telling me the truth.
Mm. Well,
I mean, God, when you really
wow.
think about it, right? You're always responding to people that talk to you in a way that you think are telling you the truth, right? I mean, you don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I mean, if it's going to call you to act, or you think they're lying and you're going to go act against it,
Right.
right? To the other side of it, but you're measuring. This is an interesting thing that we've never talked about because I never thought about it. But are we constantly measuring for authenticity in the voice that we're listening to? Does this feel true? Is this true? Is this right? Like music, if we just go back to music as the
Sure.
metaphor,
Yeah.
like I and music is great because I mean, it's all literally vibration, but
Mm.
music is, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's no more literally vibration than my speaking is. So I don't know why I would, or really literally vibration than the chair I'm sitting on is. So I don't know why I would use the word literally
It's the real
before it.
vibration, like the
It's
real
the
host.
real, but it's all vibration. Okay, fine. But music as a vibration, right, is what we like,
Mm.
right? As
Yeah.
Persig would say, is it just the quality, right? Of what we like is just a vibration that resonates authentically with us.
Mm.
And if we don't hear the authenticity in that vibration, it doesn't land for us as
Hmm.
good. Whoa.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
fucking question is that? But that sounds like a question, right? That sounds like a something worth exploring, because is it the authenticity of the vibe? Is it the authenticity with which is it the is it our assessment of the authenticity of the vibration that is at the core of us, like giving everything's vibration?
Yeah.
Looking at a Van Gogh, right? Or, I lived,
Right.
while he was alive, and the vibration of that painting I would,
Yeah.
that wouldn't resonate authentically with me. That would resonate as garbage.
Hmm.
And today it resonates as
Yeah.
unbelievable magic. And we like to think we would have discovered Van Gogh and thought he
Yeah.
was a genius, but we wouldn't have.
Well, the image that's coming to mind is that whole tuning fork thing, like if you have a
Mm,
tuning fork at a certain
yeah.
frequency, you have to have a corresponding the same frequency in a tuning fork for them to communicate and vibrate
Oh,
together.
yes. We have talked about that.
Yeah, that if I'm that and so I think I can't guess what someone else's tuning fork is set to. I can only communicate from what mine is set to. And as I communicate my voice out into the world, the things that I feel to be true and authentic, it will find the other tuning forks tuned to the same frequency that vibrate and resonate. And so my job isn't to try to frame something in a way that gets others to hear it. It's simply to share my truth, to share from my voice so that those who are tuned to it can hear it. And I think a lot of times we try to shape our message in a way that gets the biggest audience, the widest funnel to whatever. And I feel more turned on in content these days when I speak from the things that fire me up, which is where I tend to find my voice. And when I share from there, it's interesting to me to see who comments on my posts, who leans in, the kind of trust and relationship I have immediately. Immediately. I've never met them in person. I said something on Facebook and they interacted with me and we have instant trust and space created. I think that's a really interesting thing, but I'm not trying to think how do I need to say this for them? I'm just saying lose your goddamn mind
Right. It's
and
not
it
even that you're
lands.
not okay, good. But so this is good, Chris, because this just had me thinking. It's your attention, my attention, your attention is on my tuning fork. And is it in tune? Is it
Mm,
resonating
yeah. With it.
accurately for what I'm out to say?
Yeah, and how
And
you say things. Yeah.
does it, and then you're counting on that attracting
Mm, yeah.
the
Right. Which is what happened when you sent that
right.
invite
So I
to
had two people say no, say, that's inappropriate that I use goddamn. Right. I was like, well, you're lucky I didn't send out the Namaste motherfucker t-shirt offer that's coming to anyone who gets in, lose your goddamn mind.
right.
Um, I did though make a free your mind and
And
your
your
ass will
ass will
follow.
follow.
The
Hmm.
kingdom heaven is within. The kingdom of heaven is within, which is that's going to be the dedication in the gratitude paradox. By the
That's
way,
great,
that's
man.
anytime you can dedicate use George Clinton as a he is a kid. Anyway, okay. So, but I had three people, right, that said they were interested. So I had
Yeah.
two people. I mean, this is out of 5,000,
Yeah.
4,000, right? So it's
Yeah.
hardly like some major coup, but three people saying they were interested is the highest level of interest that I've gotten on any lead magnet
Uh-huh.
that I've put out there, any kind of attractor. And um, that balance between uh, commercial viability and uh, authentic expression,
Mm, mm,
that's
mm. Yeah. That's good.
Rick Rubin's pretty clear, and every great artist is pretty much mimics that. You make art for you, and when it
Yeah.
attracts who it attracts. And at the same time, you know, was it who they're talking about in 10X, Da Vinci or Michelangelo? Michelangelo.
Mm,
He's getting commissions, and that's a working phenomenon.
yeah.
It's all selling out, you know. I mean, you're selling, but is it selling out consistent with what you're committed to? And so I sort of got sad when I went back and read some blog posts about whatever. It just it didn't have enough of lose your goddamn mind in it, and I don't.
Mm,
Which is why I like the whole idea of writing in blog post form, because I can iterate and I
yeah.
can
Yeah.
look to see, and because there's another side of that line. Like there's a guy, Yogi Brian.
Hmm.
He's,
Yogi
he's
Bryant.
funny. He's a social media. He's on social media. I'm sure he's not a social media. To call someone a social media influencer is so
Mhm.
contemptuous. It's so demeaning. It really is.
Uh,
You would say like, oh, he's just like that. Like it's a human being. It's a real fucking guy, and
yeah.
he's out there doing God's work. He's doing his expression of God's work, and
Yeah.
it's all right. Like love your fucking self, and it's like 15-second meditations. Like let that shit go, and you know it's all good. It's
Yeah.
it's great, and he's got a great personality. Face tattoos. It's perfect. Guy's amazing, right? I think I'd like to be him. I think it's a great contribution. And I was looking at it, and I was looking at it in reference to, lose your goddamn mind, and which is in that vein. But then the 10-week mindfulness journey, the actual mindfulness meditations are a real deal. They wouldn't be, okay, now let that shit go. Okay, now, motherfucker, you're beautiful. There's a level of, earnestness, seriousness,
Mhm.
that sincerity, I think, needs to, for me, to
Yeah.
have it be authentic, like
Yeah.
real. It has to be a real thing. It can't just be the surface, let
Yeah.
that shit go. Although,
Right.
let's face it, that's, first of all, everyone should let that shit go. No, zero argument with the efficacy of let that shit go. But so many times, let that shit go is like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. Super
Right.
helpful.
Thanks for that advice. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Tell me
super
something
helpful. Right.
I didn't already know. Yeah.
Right. Give me the access to
Right.
how to let that shit
Yeah.
go. And
No,
that
that's
shit
good.
takes work.
Yeah. No,
You
that's good.
can't, you're not going to let it go. I was really, now that I'm designing the program,
Hmm.
because I have the interest. So I'm like, let's go. Um, I'm, I'm getting myself committed to starting with self-compassion, because I think that's, if you can get yourself started in mindfulness with self-compassion, you got a leg up, because mostly
Yeah.
my experience is people, well, I don't, this is not a question. People make themselves wrong, and they invalidate themselves,
Yeah.
and they, take themselves out of more games that they could win if they would just give themselves the kind of space
Mhm.
that they gave to their toddler when they were learning to walk.
Wow. Yeah.
And we don't do that for ourselves.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's a mistake.
Yeah.
That's a mistake. Self-compassion is just it's fundamental. It's the first step. If you can get that, you can get back up every time you fall, and you'll be fine. Every time your mind wanders, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But so many people quit meditating because, not because it's hard, but because their mind keeps wandering, and they keep making it wrong that their mind wandered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it becomes failure after failure after failure, versus, no, that's success after success after success. If you were looking at it from
Yeah.
a self-compassionate
Yeah.
perspective, you would have had success after success. I caught myself 60 times.
Mm.
Fucking high five yourself. Right.
Mm. Mm.
So there's something to be said. That's the direction that I'd like to go in with this. But anyway,
well, I can hear in that too, just that there's I don't know that you, in my own experience, I don't know that I could have found my voice without self-compassion. Like
yeah.
that there's a full embracing of all that I am in order to honor the voice I have. And absent of self-compassion, it's mostly a comparison game. It's like, I'm going to try to sound like Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm going to try to sound like Tony Robbins. There's, because who I am isn't enough. So I need to
Yeah.
sound like someone else. And it's in the embracing of all that you are that I think you honor the voice of you that wants to come through.
And the will and the self-compassion for sure comes in with the generosity with which you need to read what you wrote.
Mm, mm,
Because like I said, I read what I wrote and I got, are douche chills a thing? Do you know what douche chills are?
mm.
You really never heard the term douche chills?
No,
No,
deuce chills,
douche,
douche chills.
douche,
No,
like a
is that like
douche.
the chills you get when you douche?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a piss shiver? Like
Yeah,
a,
like a piss shiver, except douche is like a douchebag. Like, oh God, did I write that? Did I really write that?
oh,
I
okay, 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 I get it.
it's very
Got it.
inappropriate that I would do it because I'm not physically capable of douching,
Uh-huh.
and enema chill is not what that is. So, although full of shit,
Although,
although
although there could be
I read
shivers
it,
from
it's
that
like,
too.
wow, that reads like it's full of shit. So I
Uh,
could do it like a colonic chill.
mm,
Um, uh, Yeah, but I read it and I was like, ugh, it's embarrassing to have written that,
mm,
right?
mm,
And
hmm,
how full of myself it reads to me now.
mm,
And
hmm.
except excellent,
Right, right,
excellent.
right.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
Ira Glass has that great story, about how creators can tell that their work is shit because they're good.
Mm, mm, mm,
And
mm,
that you're good when you look at your work and you hate it. You know that you're
yeah,
good because you know what good work is,
mm.
and
That's
you
good.
can
I
read
like that.
yours and know that it's not it yet.
Yeah, yeah. I like
But
that.
that's
Yeah.
how you know it's worth keep going because you know your shit.
Hmm. That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
it's like a 60-second. If you just Google Ira Glass creator,
Yeah.
um, it's a beautiful little talk. It's like a 60-second
Uh-huh.
quote kind of thing. It's a
I love that. Yeah.
great talk. But that's the idea, is that but that all can only come if you're willing to
Yeah.
help,
Yeah.
cultivate self-compassion. No growth is available really until you can cultivate. Well, okay, no, that's a bold thing to say. Hang on a second. Because as soon as I said no growth is available to you, cultivate self-compassion, I don't think that's true. I think I don't know about Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Elon Musk or anyone that came to mind when I thought that's not true. I don't know how much self-compassion those men have had about their stuff, and they certainly have accomplished things.
Right.
Um,
Sure. Right.
but it's certainly, you know, and on one hand, I mean, would they argue that self-compassion's, for pussies, and it doesn't drive
Well,
the train? I don't know. They
different,
could, they
different,
might,
different tuning fork.
right?
I
Different
feel
tuning.
like I've been having these Facebook memories pop up like 8 years ago when I was doing videos on Facebook Lives and things, and I look at them and there's this like, yeah, that's cringy to watch. It's that's shit.
Yes.
That's shit. And at the same time, that self-compassion piece of like, I can really hear what I was going for. I can hear the heart of my message now started way back then, and I can hear it in it. I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of you for having the courage to speak up and do it and say it, because I wouldn't be here if you hadn't started there. And then I just can also be like, and that was just really hard to watch. you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure if we went back and looked at the podcasts from last year, I still can't watch these, so I don't really know. But um, but that's you are gonna suck before you're any good. You're just gonna suck.
Yeah.
No, that's the way that
Right.
is. That's
Right.
the way fucking everything is that you're going to suck till you're good.
Yeah.
And how long can you stay with it? Werner used to say, why he's accomplished what he's accomplished is because he could sit with and continue through the failure for longer than anybody. And,
Mm,
can you,
mm.
but it's not just, were we talking? Oh no, I think this is in my book club. The 10X is easier than 2X book club.
Mm,
I'm in a book club and we're reading 10X is easier than 2X.
mhm.
And they talk about in the book Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours.
Yep.
And someone was saying it's not 10,000 hours. That's not accurate. It's 10,000 iterations
Mm,
that you could put 10,000 hours doing the same fucking thing wrong, and it's not going to make you the expert.
right. Right.
If you put in 10,000 iterations,
Mm, that's good.
there's something. And that just hit. I was like, oh shit, that's good.
Mm,
That is good. And those iterations, again, I want to use the word require self-compassion, but I don't think that's true. I don't think you're required to do that. I think it's easier. It's more fun. It's certainly, well, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Like
well, there's certainly a mindful aspect of self-compassion, like that.
yeah, it's funny because Kobe used to, I used to use Kobe Bryant or, sports
Sure.
metaphors because I do.
Yeah.
It's easy to see the performance. But he talks about there's no failures, there's wins or lessons,
Yeah.
which is a form of self-compassion.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
like that. Anyway, I interrupted you.
No, no,
I'm
no. I think
sorry,
that's
but
right. Well, I mean, then maybe I'm hearing, I mean, to your point about, them saying that's, you're being a pussy. I mean, the whole thing about like the connotation of self-compassion being soft and weak and
right.
whatever, like you can be self-compassionate and still be rigorous. You can be like, Michael Jordan, super competitive and demanding of yourself and others, and still be like, yeah, no, there's compassion in what it takes to get here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I
I
think
pre-
that just gets into the flavor of your preference of compassion. I prefer a little bit more touchy-feely version of compassion because that's just how I'm wired, instead of the old competitive hustle grind, like grind it out form of compassion.
well, there's ruthless compassion, right? Which is an old school term.
Sure.
That is it. Yeah, I think you do need that in your tool bag. I think you
Yeah.
need to know when to show ruthless compassion or touchy feely compassion, or
Sure.
that
Hmm.
the if compassion is simply just no longer being willing to tolerate a disempowering conversation about yourself,
Mm.
right? Because you could define compassion that in that wins or lessons kind of way. It's your express your If you're going to connect that to compassion, then what you're saying in that is that compassion in that particular context is simply an unwillingness to invalidate myself
Hmm.
over a result I didn't achieve.
Yeah.
And is that really compassion? I mean, I got zero problem with labeling that compassion.
Yeah.
Um, but I think if you're going to do that, and it in fact be useful to label it self-compassion. Like I mean, on one hand, it doesn't even look like self-compassion. That just looks like, okay, why would I waste my fucking time
Mm-hmm.
invalidating myself over a result that I didn't achieve when I have something I could learn about that? Right? Let's
Sure.
go.
Sure.
But for some people, I think that really that's certainly what some people mean by self-compassion. And that is completely adequate and a great way to do it. And then there's also self-compassion, like, it's interesting. I'm going back to this 10X is easier than 2X, because the other conversation in there, and I think I don't know what chapter we're on, but he talks about living in the gap.
Mm.
And we've had Eric, I can't remember his last name now, but my good friend Eric, with the Profit Through Presence. um, on, and I'm sorry, Holsapple. Jesus, Eric Holsapple. Okay,
There
I
you go.
saw.
There you go.
I couldn't let my drug-addled brain win that. I had to. Anyway, they talk about living in the gap, and
Yeah.
that's his. This is a completely different definition. But and they were clear about this, like flat-footed, like you cannot live a fulfilled life if you're living in the gap, looking forward at the goal, at the standard or ideal of where you're headed.
Hmm.
You will always be disappointed. It is
Hmm.
like chasing the horizon.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
You are never going to get there. Your access to fulfillment is to look backwards and look to see where were you last year
It's
and
great.
where are you now.
Yeah. It's
And
great.
to start, not to not measure, you do want to measure. And you can, in fact, you do need to measure how close you are to the next goal. It's just that, you're not going to be happy when you get that goal,
Yeah.
because that goal then turns into the next one.
Yeah. Right.
The horizon's always pushing out in front of you.
You'll
Um,
never get it all done. You'll never get it all.
right. So then, but to look back at your growth and to measure your growth from where was I last time? Where was I yesterday? Where was I last year?
Mm.
Yeah, I forgot how that connected to all this with but that occurs to me like a self-compassion
Yeah. Yeah.
view of
Totally.
your performance,
Mhm.
that you do measure. You do have to tell the truth about where you're at. If you're in the same place you were last year, then
Hmm.
you can tell the truth about that. But then where were you 2 years ago or 3 years ago? And find the growth.
Find the
Find the
growth.
growth.
Yeah.
And then stand there like you can do it. Like find ways to empower you. So I think all this gets wrapped back up inside that.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know how to tie that back into voice. Like if we could go back for a second just to wrap, because it feels like that's run its course. Um,
I think we started with finding your voice, and I think that's important when it comes to leading whatever work you're here to lead. Like, you know, um, speaking from the things you want to say and the emotions and the ways you want to say it. Like lose your goddamn mind. Like don't censor yourself. Don't um vanilla yourself. Like be all that you are. And I think in order to do that, it requires um it's been helpful for me looking back to your point about looking back to see, like I said, where was I? Where have I come to feels good. And then to hear the thread of my truth in all those messages way back when, I could go further back than 8 years and hear the seeds of truth, my truth, and the things I've said when I was a CEO running a real estate company and trying to teach agents how to make an authentic connection with their database that had nothing to do with open houses and listings. Like I can hear it way back then.
yeah, no, that's
And
good. I mean,
yeah.
I I could hear it back. That was the thing that Soul Boom brought up for me. It was like, God, I've been having this conversation for 30 years,
Right. Yeah.
you know, just different ways. But Namaste Motherfucker is 100%, a
Mm,
100% aligned with
mm,
Soul Boom and
yeah.
what the fuck would Jesus do? And all
Mhm.
the,
Yeah.
all the way through, right? Let's,
Yeah.
demystify and
Yep.
get it off the pedestal and into our daily lives. Dailysoul.net. That was the goddamn name of the blog that I wanted to start, was dailysoul.net.
Huh.
And
Wow. Huh.
yeah, that was,
Wow.
I remember I used to have what WTF WJD bumper stickers with dailysoul.net, and then never did the work to start the blog because I was
I love that though. I
never,
do
never,
love
never.
it feels like it's worth pointing out. And I love I've seen this in myself and I've seen it in your story that you just shared. I've seen it in others. Like there is often this like the message we want to share and the voice we want to share it and often has been around for a long time. And then we go through these iterations of trying to do it the way big boys and girls do it, and then trying to, and until we get back to this moment where we're like, hey, this feels familiar. I was saying this kind of stuff way back then. And you're like, oh my God, my voice has been with me the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just haven't had enough compassion or acceptance of it to really lean into that which has been with me the whole time.
Yeah. It's really well said, Chris, because that is exactly what I think. It was just such a validation. I can
Mm,
remember reading Castaneda in high school, and
mhm,
um, the crow cawing that's the universe confirming,
mm. What
right?
was it? What is it?
You hear a crow caw or a
Oh, uh-huh.
bird sing, or the wind
Uh-huh.
is at the moment of decision, and you're like, there's the universe telling you,
Mm,
right? You
nice.
interpret the signs around you, right? If
Yeah.
you're in tune, and
Yeah.
Castaneda finding himself and on these mystical
Mm,
acid trips. Um,
mm,
and even back then, so now I'm going all the way back to high school,
yeah.
reading Castaneda.
Mm,
And, can you trust that voice? Can you quiet yourself enough? Can you,
mm,
you know,
yeah.
and now I'm just just in this moment, I need some extra self compassion for having waited till I was 61 to do this about it.
Mm,
It
mm,
doesn't feel like, well, it was all building up to this. It feels like, oh, fuck, I've been wasting a lot of time, which is, that orientation toward, oh,
mm,
especially now at 61, it's like, okay, that horizon is way fucking closer.
mm,
That
yeah.
stop, that's the end sign there. The finish line is way closer. And it's funny because now we're going to start a whole nother conversation. Anyway, to go back to
Yeah.
just wrapping that up, I do
Yeah.
think that our voice has been around, and quieting the mind and
Mm,
listening to, the universe signs, like, why would I
mm,
pick up Soul Boom? I don't even know how.
mm,
I don't even know why I picked that up yesterday. I don't,
mm, mm.
it's
Wow.
literally, I can't even think of why.
Serendipity, baby. Don't
Yeah.
even
I don't even
know.
know that. I don't even know how I figured out that he wrote it, or what
Your your guides and spirit team sort of slipped it right into your stream of consciousness. Just like maybe
I'm really sort of like creeped out
that's
that I don't.
great.
Oh, no, it was a podcast that he was on, and he was talking about not washing his hands when he pees.
Oh, come
I
on.
saw a reel. It was a reel. It was a reel. And and then I discovered in the bottom, it was like, oh, he wrote a book. Oh, let me check it out. That
Uh,
was what got me.
nice, nice.
All right, fine. It wasn't, I mean, yes, okay, fine. The universe put it in my reel stream, but
Uh,
it wasn't just sort of like I woke up like, oh shit, I bet Rainn Wilson has a book I should read today. Was it cool?
that's great.
Great and powerful
Well,
Oz needed, Zuckerberg needed to slip it into my
yeah,
algorithm.
right.
Anyway, okay. So
Really good.
find your voice. It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
And
See
I
what
hear
happens.
and I
Let us
hear the
know.
role mindfulness plays in that,
Totally
There's
quieting
some
down long
yeah.
enough and
Yeah.
sorting through all that. Yeah, this is a good, rich
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Um,
Real
all
good.
right, man.
Hey, if people want to learn more about losing their goddamn mind in a series of whatever, how do people like should they just
They
go
should
yeah.
they can hit us up. We should make a little blurb about it on the Mindful CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, we meaning you as the master of the website
Yeah, yes.
should
Yes,
do
me.
it. Yeah, I
By
should do
we mean
a
me.
little form for that for people that want to lose their goddamn mind. They should be able to fill that out, an application to get in that 10-week mindfulness journey.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, to be determined when that's going, but right now it's free. I want to launch one, and I have no idea how it's gonna go. So
Yep.
free is the word. Um, and then subscribe to the podcast
Yep.
and share the podcast and give
Yeah.
us 5-star reviews. Even if you hated it, give us a 5-star review. Really, seriously, what the fuck? It doesn't cost you anything. You give us 5-star review and say, God, I hated this thing. It's
Yeah.
the worst, but I don't hate them enough to give them one
Have
star.
some compassion in your
Have some
stars.
compassion. Really, does it cost you anything? Really?
Come on.
Come on now, people. Hook us up with some love. Yeah.
And maybe just last announcement, like in March, we're planning to launch the Mindful CEO Mastermind,
Mastermind.
right? It's a paid community. It's curated, right? It's application only. And I think that helps us find, good chemistry with the people in the group. So you can go to themindfulceo.com/invite and fill out an application, and we'll follow up with next steps. So choose your own adventure, people. See you next time, Aaron.
Peace.